In this video, we'll continue to use Illustrator to build the last few curves that are going to be used to make the rims for our sports car. So let's go ahead and continue on with Illustrator. And the last thing that I want to do is to be able to build curves that will run right through each one of these arms. And this will be used in Maya to actually create a hollow area between each one of these arms. So to build this curve, what I want to do is start with an ellipse tool. Okay, and right now, if you were to just click and draw an ellipse, if I wanted that to be elongated, and I were to just click and draw, or click and drag, what's going to happen is it's going to pinch in these areas that it's being pulled out, and that's because there's only one anchor point here and then one on the other side. So to keep it from pinching in these areas, I'm going to have to add more anchor points to this overall shape. So to start things off, I'm going to go ahead and jump back to my ellipse tool, and let's go ahead and just add an ellipse right about where we want it, up here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little closer so we can see what's going on. And with this circle selected, what I want to do is expand the pen tool palette, and let's click on this Add Anchor Points tool. And what I want to do is just add an anchor point right about in the middle of each existing anchor point. So you've got one over here and then one down here, so we'll add one right in the middle of those two. So what we've got now is a circle that's made up of not 4 anchor points, but now 8 anchor points. So now what we can do is use this direct selection tool and just select these lower anchor points. And now we can just pull these down. Make sure that you don't select the outer portion of that curve. So all you've got to do now is just pull these down. And then let's go ahead and grab these top 3 curves, or these top 3 points, and just pull these straight up. Okay, and you might need to take these and pull them down. Got a couple of points right here that I need to pull down. So now what we have is a shape that's not pinching at the tops and on the bottom. So we might need to actually make this a little narrower. Move this over. Okay. And sometimes you've got to kind of just get this as close as you can. Right now, that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're going to have to do something pretty similar to what we did with these lug nuts. You'll have to select this curve and select your rotate tool. And just like we did with these lug nut sockets, we're going to have to Alt-click right in the center of these guides that were drawn. So Alt-click, and same as before, put in a value of about 72 degrees of rotation. And we're going to copy this. Okay, so here's the duplicate arm. And let's just keep going around with this arm selected. Again, Alt-click, give 72 degrees, copy it. Same, let's go ahead and copy this. And one more time, we'll copy this one. And there we go. Now we've got 5 of these spaces, and some of these may not line up absolutely perfectly, and that's really not going to be too big of a deal. What we can do is just pick these up and then move them into place if they happen to be just a little bit off. So let's go ahead and just move a couple of these points, or a couple of these spaces. Okay, so that's pretty close. And now what we can do is start to save this out in a format that can be read by Maya. So let's go ahead and zoom out to where we can see pretty much the entire page area in Illustrator, and just take your selection tool, and we'll select all of these points, and then just go ahead and under Object, let's go to Group, or Control G. And now what we can do is just make this a little bit larger so that it covers pretty much the entire page area. And this will just make it a bit larger when it actually comes into Maya. Okay, and one last thing that we want to do before we export this is let's go ahead and get rid of these guides, because if these guides are active, they'll actually come into Maya as curves. So just to avoid any confusion, we'll go ahead and turn those guides off. Let's just go down to View, Guides, and let's clear guides. And now you won't wind up with 2 extra curves whenever you go to Maya. So let's go ahead and go up to File. And actually, before I do that, I should explain that if you're using a newer version of Illustrator, Maya tends to have trouble reading the curves that come out from that. So you're going to have to actually save these as an older Illustrator format. So under File, what you're going to have to do is go down to Export, and under the Type, what you're going to have to do is, let me go ahead and move this up so you can see it. Underneath this pull-down menu, Save as Type, what you need to do is switch it to Illustrator Legacy with an AI extension. So let's go ahead and call this Tire Pattern for Maya. Okay, and again, make sure it's saved as an Illustrator Legacy. And when we go to Save, it should ask us what version do we want to save this under. If you're going to be taking this back into Maya, you need to make sure it's version 8 or lower. Anything above that, Maya tends to have trouble reading. So I'm going to set this to a version 8 Illustrator document. Hit OK. And it's just going to pull up this quick little warning message. Just go ahead and hit Yes. And now in the next video, we'll be ready to use this in Maya.